Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Chimera Elite, and today we're looking at Kain's Scourge. He's the last of the undead champions, and he has a lot to him actually. Like, he has a huge aura, and that's kind of something that I've noticed with the lowest tier of champions. They all have a lot of utility to them, and Kain is no exception. Now, he has 4 movement, 40 health, kind of standard for anyone who's not the Wolfen. Decent movement and health that's standard across the board. He has pretty good accuracy, pretty good parry, okay dodge, which is surprising considering how most units have actually very terrible dodge. And he has decent damage. His toughness is pretty good, and that's actually buffed by the fact that he has hard boiled. So he takes 3 less damage from all attacks, which is very good actually. Well, as I've said again and again, it doesn't really make that much of a difference for undead, only if they're facing the Chimera, which has Hyperion, which makes the undead make a fear check, even though they're immune to fear. It's a different type of fear, it's the undead fear. But anyway, let's go on to his abilities, which... His first ability is one which plagued me to no end during the earlier stages of the beta when people were... Well, not just when people, but when champions and side troops could actually... I don't know why I'm on this one. But when troops could actually have... Do they have them? No, they don't. When paladins, these guys down here, actually had the ability to cast Exhausting Touch. Now, Exhausting Touch is devastating, especially to a Wolfen player, and especially with the way that I used to play and how my army used to work. Exhausting Touch magically reduces the damage score of the target to 0 for as long as the curse lasts. No other damage modifier will affect the score of the carrier. As soon as it comes into contact with an ally during a movement, this effect is transmitted to the ally and no longer affects the former carrier. In the case of multiple contacts, the new carrier of the chosen will be chosen randomly. If the carrier of Exhausting Touch is eliminated, the effect will seek to contaminate a new body. It will contaminate the nearest allied fighter, within a radius of 4 hexagons around the current carrier. If no new target is within range, the curse ends immediately. Now, I want you guys to think back for a second, and think about how all my old armies used to work. They were all rushed down. That's kind of, in the past, all you could do easily with the Wolfen. Because in the past, they had a leveling system. And that leveling system was a huge pain in the ass because you couldn't actually get a unit to the point of Guardians of Equilibrium without dealing with ass-kicking after ass-kicking after ass-kicking, and it just wasn't fun. So, typically, we went with Rushdown. Now, not only with Rushdown armies, but just with Wolfen in general, I have 5 to 6 units at any given time. They're all typically grouped up pretty tightly, and I can't spare any of them. They all have their part to play. Now, if you cast Exhausting Touch, say, on my hero, I'm screwed. If you cast it on, say, Arrhenius in another army, a lion army, they'd be crippled, sure, not denying his importance, but Arrhenius, even without dealing any damage, that he can still do so much, because he can lock you down. Sure, you can keep on wailing on him, but that doesn't really make a difference when he's still locking down and still has the ability to lock down your units. And with a lion army, which I've seen gone up to like 9 or 10 units, not counting the hero, this is huge. And if used right, and even if used wrong, can be devastating. If I run into this guy, I am literally staying away from him the entire game and just whittling him down with ranged attacks. Because I can do that. And he needs to be in touch. Sure, you can sprint up. That's one. I can just immediately just spread the fuck out, just wail on him. You need to die as quickly as possible. Now his other ability is called Thematic Transfer. This is again an ability that was in the past usable by other paladins, other black paladins. Now it's been limited to just the hero. But the allied unit targeted by Thematic Transfer sees its characteristics change to become equal to the base characteristics of the Faithful for 2 turns. The Faithful then suffers -2 accuracy and -2 parry penalties for 2 turns. Now the thing is, imagine using Thematic Transfer on a summoned skeleton. Imagine that. A skeleton that before had very little damage potential and just flat out wasn't dangerous is now essentially a second hero with pretty damn good stats. In accuracy, parry, damage, all the important ones. Those are now his. And admittedly, while the original is slightly weakened, he's still a huge danger. This is really good. This is a really good utility. It's if he can't get to the front line, he can essentially just transfer himself to the front line and give you a headache, and you'll essentially have to deal with him twice. And I'll get to the second part. If you've already looked through this and you know exactly what I'm talking about, then yeah, you have to deal with him twice. It's silly. And then you have Fist of Kain. Activating the Fist of Kain automatically grants the War Fury ability to Kain for this turn. The first enemy attacked by the Fist of Kain cannot strike back against his attacks. This is actually really, really good. The previous guy, Melmoth, he's also undead, and he has the ability counterattack. It's a stance. And I actually made this mistake in the last video. This is apparently wrong. Thank you, Astro Worm, for pointing this out to me. And I thought, I was looking at the video, I'm like, wait, this isn't, I thought, I'm almost certain it did something else. And I was right. What it really does is takes away the penalty to parry. So you're parrying at the same ability that you were before. And again, Astro Worm pointed out that this ambidextrous and parry is kind of glitchy at the moment, and I'm hoping that Cyanide Studios, the guys who actually brought this game to us, notice this and, actually change it. But imagine Melmoth versus Kain. Okay, Melmoth, quite arguably more powerful, with his lifesteal, buffable lifesteal, regeneration, fear, Blade of Carnage, all that good stuff. Versus Kain. It could be interesting. But Fist of Kain just bops you, just pow. Nice little right hook. And he goes in, Melmoth can no longer actually riposte, and when he has counterattack, and even when he has counterattack up, which is honestly it's gonna be all the time because why would you not have it up? It kind of throws a little wrench in the gears, you know, kind of fouls up his strategy, but still it'll be a close fight. And now we get into his attributes. Strategist 1, +1 to initiative. You get to go earlier, but there are better champions at doing this. Honor of the Black Paladin. All Black Paladins within the range of this aura gain the Fierce and Possessed abilities. Fierce and Unpossessed are two of the better passives of the game. Possessed? You can get hurt and, like a true undead, it won't even matter to you. You could be almost dead. And that's where Fierce comes in, actually. Fierce, this literally just stops you dead when you're trying to do pursuit movements. Like, literally. Fierce, you drop to 0, but you don't actually die. And if it's your turn next, you can just go ham and just attack as much as you want. Possessed makes you attack at full strength even when you're just about dead. I'll come back to Codex of the Scourge and its insanity and all that fun stuff. Exalted, 20% bonus to succeed difficulty rolls. Iconoclast, he needs to be a frontliner. If he's not getting the faith he needs to cast his stuff. Living Dead, no fear effects, and poison, which isn't in the game yet, but hey, poison. Who knows? Could be interesting. Fear, righteous. He's a I don't know. I understand the fear effects. And maybe this is part of a different, again with Melmoth, counter attack or ambidextrous still has her as a subject, so maybe they need to go back through and look at it, just make sure that they're not, everything's all polished up. But again, it's in beta, and let it slide. Doesn't really matter that much. But the big thing is +1 accuracy bonus against fighters belonging to the ways of light or destiny. Pretty good. Accuracy gets buffed up to 14, which is very good actually. And you're guaranteed, not guaranteed obviously, but it's a little bit more security in, if I'm swinging at something, I'm going to hit it and hopefully kill it eventually. Hardboiled, I already talked about this. All damage suffered by this unit is decreased by 3. And you have Master Fencer, which is essentially the opposite of parry on Emerok. In melee combat, the first failed attack roll by this unit can be re-rolled, and this effect can only trigger only once per activation. Essentially, if you attack and you miss, attack again. But obviously, it's not going to happen for something like Fist of Kain, where he has 2 attacks, because that would just be ridiculous. And now we get to this fun little tidbit. Codex of the Scourge grants Exalted to Kain. When Kain is eliminated from the game, his spirit possesses the closest Black Paladin within his Faith Zone. This effect can only be applied if a Black Paladin is present within his Faith Zone and is only triggered once per game. You have to kill this fucker twice. Plain and simple. And, Exalted. I don't know why they, Really had to say that twice. You know, it's kind of repetitive, redundant. That's the word I'm looking for. But other than that, his orders are pretty good. Offensive, defensive stance. Offensive stance just gives you another attack. Defensive stance increases your parry by 6 and reduces the number of attacks that you're allowed to make that turn by 1. Now, Tide of the Dead is the unupgraded version of Commanding Shout. Tide of the Dead, you have to activate a skeleton and then another unit. It's still pretty good, but Commanding Shout allows you to just activate two units in one turn. It's just flat out better. But hey, what can you do? And yeah. For the Dark Gods, the target unit gains a +2 damage when it charges, which is, it's not that, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. And also, Believer 3 grants 3 faith points to every nearby faithful. In case you haven't noticed, you can have all these faithful. These guys are dangerous. Very, very dangerous. Occult Erosion? Pretty good against some spellcasters. Spiritual Aggression. Faithful's Will +5. That's 20 people. That's 20 damage. That's huge. And in fact, that's 23 damage. That is... my god. That's actually huge. That's possibly on the same level as... yes, it is. Oh my god. That's actually on the same level as Celestial Scourge. But you get the idea. This is a huge boon to your army. And what this guy brings to the table is really interesting. And I'm interested to see either what changes they're going to make to them in the future, if they even do, and how people are going to use them in the future. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, it helps. And if you want more, and there's still one more champion to go, Selene of Laverne, subscribe. Because she's still on the way, and again, 6 more armies to go that have still yet to be announced, and I'm really looking forward to them. I'll see you guys when I see you guys. Peace.